Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaimudhirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Nomagnana Timirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatharini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat.
Welcome, Hare Krishna, welcome everybody. Hearing of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So we had finished verse 19, chapter 1, Canto 1, chapter 1, verse 19. So we will read further, verse 20. Verse 20. Kritavan kila karmani saharamena keshava atimatyani bhagavan buddha kapadamanushaha. Okay. Yeah, Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, along with Balarama, played like a human being, and so much he performed many superhuman acts. So Krishna's position is very clear. Personality of Godhead, along with Balarama, played like a human being. So here it is said, Kapata Manusha. Kapata Manusha means Kapata doesn't mean cheating, like one-way cheating, as in looks like a, he played like a human being. Buddha, masked. He was masked because he was behaving just like a human being. He was Krishna, doing all the Vedic, following all the rules and regulations. Bhagavatam describes, and Krishna was traveling from Hastinapur to Dwaraka. Every evening he used to break his journey, he used to do his evening rites. So he used to perform, as per Varnashrama Dharma, his activities. Also, when he was in Dwaraka, when Sri Narada Muni comes to visit him, he said, like every house, Krishna is doing different activities, all of them Vedic. So he was playing like a human being, because it's his Leela. And so masked, he was masked, he performed many superhuman acts. Superhuman, which means normally what human beings cannot do. So he played like a human being, but he performed many superhuman acts. Then somebody might ask him, then people will then not accept him as a human being. No, because that is his Leela. This is the beauty of Krishna's Leela. Though he does superhuman acts, all the devotees in Vrindavan, they just don't want to think about him as the highest platform of bhakti, where the bhakta doesn't think of Krishna as the Supreme Lord. So he masked, he was playing like a human being, but he performed many superhuman. Prabhupada, actually, in the purport, very important thing, Prabhupada is saying, any popular personality with a few traits of mystic powers will display some feat of jugglery and easily become an incarnation of Godhead by popular vote. Lord Krishna was not that type of incarnation. So we know, okay, vibhuti, some ash, some fruit, something. All this is just Astasiddhi. Astasiddhi. So some display of some mystic powers doesn't make one person incarnation of God. But people are so foolish that anybody who displays some, energies like this, powers like this, they'll blindly accept them as Bhagavan and then glorify him. So Krishna is not that type of incarnation. So basically, that is why a knowledge of the Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam. So we should know Krishna's position, that it is Divya, transcendental, not belonging to this material world. These mystic powers are belonging to this material world. Process of Ashtanga Yoga. So you'll get Astasiddhi. But Janma Karma Cha Me Divyam, Evam Yo Veti Tattvataha. So we have to understand Krishna in truth. Understand Krishna's appearance, Krishna's disappearance, and not birth and death. So we call it birth and death, but it's not like birth and death of this material world, of living entity of this material. So we say appearance and disappearance. Because actually, what is this Tattvataha? Tattvataha means that we should know what is Krishna's position. We should know position of other Vishnu Tattvas. We should know Shiva Tattva. We should know Jiva Tattva. We should understand all this. We should understand how this material world is created, who creates, why is it created. So all of this we should understand, because that is the transcendental nature. It is all Divyam. So one who understands this in truth, he doesn't come back to this material world. So it's not easy to understand Krishna, because Krishna is inconceivable to the normal onlooker. Who's onlooker? Who's just seeing? Okay, what is Krishna doing? So yesterday, we were discussing one of relatives, Patil Prabhu's uncle, saying, Krishna is very, very difficult to understand. Once he says like this, once he says like that. Yeah, because it's not easy. It's not for everybody to understand Krishna. If we try to understand with our own brain, we cannot understand Krishna. If we think that we can understand Krishna, we cannot understand Krishna. So understanding Krishna begins with the understanding that we cannot understand. Understanding Krishna begins with an understanding that we cannot actually understand. It's only to the extent that he reveals that we can understand. So yeah, though he was displaying all these kinds of superhuman acts, he was still considered an ordinary person. This is the beauty of Raja Prema, of Raga Bhakti. This path of Raga Bhakti, devotees don't know that Krishna is God. This is the difference between Vaikuntha Bhakti, which is on Aishwarya Bhava, which is based on Aishwarya Bhava, and Vrindavan Raja Bhakti, which is based on Madhurya, where there is no remembrance or understanding that Krishna is. So then why does Krishna appear? Krishna appears actually to show us this Raga Marga. Krishna doesn't appear for Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chatushkrutam. That is Vishnu's work. And Vishnu will take care of that. Vinashaya Chatushkrutam, and affecting pious people, finding miscreants. That is not the work of Krishna. That Vishnu will take care. Now, Krishna comes actually only to show this, this Raga Bhakti. Pure love of the sense of. So we have to understand Krishna, and that is a whole process of understanding. Okay. 1, 2, verse 1. Kalim agatam agnaya kshetresmin vaishnave vayam asina dirgha satrena tatayam sakshana harehe. Knowing well that the age of Kali has already begun, we are assembled here in this holy place to hear at great length the transcendental message of Godhead, and in this way perform sacrifice. And so they are all come together to do a sacrifice, Shravana Yagna. And so they come to do a Shravana Yagna by hearing. And hearing what? Hearing the transcendental message of Godhead. And for how long? Great length. Great length. Not That is why actually when we hear Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, so Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. If you do Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya for 15 minutes versus half an hour versus 1 hour versus 2 hours, we will see the difference it will have on our consciousness. Anybody here has tried to read Bhagavatam for 2-3 hours in a day on an ongoing basis? Actually, it's a huge, powerful impact it will have on us. So great length. We have to somehow, try to extend the amount of time that we will read Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Then the complete effect of Bhagavatam is there. So great length, they came together to do this Shravana Yagna. So Prabhupada in the purport writes by the example of these sages, one should learn that regular hearing and recitation of Bhagavatam is the only way for self-realization. Prabhupada is saying only way. Because actually, we understand that chanting also, we say 95% of our progress happens through chanting Hare Krishna. But while chanting Hare Krishna, we might not be chanting Shuddha Nama. So there are 3 stages of chanting Hare Krishna. Nama Aparada, Nama Bhasa, and Shuddha Nama. So if we are chanting in the Nama Aparada stage, then we might be chanting for many years, but we will not see significant progress. Right? And also mind is going here and there. Distracted chanting is also considered, inattentive chanting is also considered an offense. Nama Aparada. So we can't experience tangible progress. But Bhagavatam, Shravanam Bhagavatam, because it is so beautiful, its stories and so many different avatars, and so what happens is it engages us, it engages our mind actively, and we are actually concentrated on the hearing process. So it is actually more powerful. At least for those of us who cannot keep our minds on our chanting, Bhagavatam is super powerful. It actually brings about the purification which is required for the mind to not wander. So here Prabhupada, that is why saying that hearing and recitation of Bhagavatam specifically saying the only way to further. So this is an absolute must. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya is absolute must for anybody who wants to make serious progress in Krishna. Somebody might say, okay, what about Bhagavad Gita? Yes, Bhagavad Gita is also extremely powerful. And because Bhagavad Gita is 700 verses, maybe after some time, we know many of these verses, we know many of the what is saying, etc. Bhagavatam is 18,000 verses. We can read Bhagavad Gita and then also we should read Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam will engross us more, especially those who struggle with philosophy. They can get more involved in Bhagavatam. Of course, Prabhupada's purports help us understand many of the philosophical aspects. It will make our understanding. So Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya is critical. Kamna sandarshito dhatra dustaram nistitirshatam kalim sattvaharam pumsam karnadhara ivarnanam. We think that we have met your goodness by the will of providence, just so that we may accept you as a captain of the ship for those who desire to cross the difficult ocean. Deteriorates all the good qualities. By the will of providence. So Krishna says as Chaitya Guru, the first mercy that Krishna gives to a living entity is to bring him in touch with devotees, and specifically bona fide Guru. So if somebody is very sincere, looking out, saying, how do I want to understand about Krishna, I want to do Krishna bhakti, or any such inclinations, Krishna will shower mercy by bringing him in touch with him or her in touch. By the will of providence. So here the rishis are saying, it is Lord's mercy that we've been able to meet you. And just so that, why are we meeting you? Just so that we might accept you as a captain of the ship. So this acceptance is very important. So somebody cannot thrust themselves on us. So spiritual life is about surrender, willful surrender. We have to surrender to Guru. We have to surrender to Acharyas. And we should accept them as captain. Accept as in, they are very merciful. Even though we are not qualified, they'll accept us. But our mind is so disturbed, our mind is so stubborn that we might just reject their directions also. So we should be ready to accept. Diksha Kale Bhakta Khare Atma Samarpan. So we have to actually surrender ourselves to the lotus feet of Guru. In the sixth aspect of surrender, this is Anukulyasya Sankalpaha, Pratikulyasya Vardhanam. Rakshishyati iti Vishwaso Goptritve Varnam Tata. Atmanikshepa. This Atmanikshepa, giving ourselves up to the Supreme Lord, is nothing but surrendering to Guru. So we should surrender to Guru and we should accept him as a captain of our ship. What is the ship trying to do? Ship is this body. What is it trying to do? Desiring to cross the difficult ocean of Kali. It's not easy. It's not an easy business. It's very difficult because Kali Yuga is the most fallen, most disturbed. Manda, Sumanda Matayo, all this we've heard already. So it's very difficult time, Kali Yuga, for people who are interested in spiritual topics, because the whole atmosphere is surcharged with materialism, with running behind material desire, material sense gratification. So we have to really, swim against the tide. You have to swim against the tide in Kali Yuga. Other yugas were reasonably, Satyuga was very favorable. Treta was also reasonably favorable, Apara also. Because actually, subsequently, we will see, actually, in 13, 14 chapters, Yudhishthir Maharaj sees notices changes that are happening in the weather, in the way people are speaking. The whole environment changes with the advent of Kali. And he says, oh my God, this is very scary. I can't be here in this place. So for people in Dwapar Yuga, like it was unimaginable, the environment that would be there in Kali Yuga. And we've seen this Kali Yuga is deteriorating, fast deteriorating. Already we're just very early into the Kali Yuga, but it's still fast deteriorating. It says deteriorates all the good qualities of a human being. So it is all just, greed, anger, frustration, only negative qualities can be seen. All good qualities of people are. Prabhupada here is making one very important statement. So he's saying, why is this society like this today? Why is the society so deep? It is because of the education system. The education system of education is geared to sense gratification. And if a learned man thinks it over, he sees that the children of this age are being intentionally sent to slaughterhouses of so-called education. So this is the root cause of the state of our society today, which is so centered around sense gratification. Why? Because that is what education system is teaching. What is education system teaching? How is education system teaching sense gratification? Education system doesn't teach anything else apart from material accomplishments. Stand first, come what may, you should achieve the topmost. Then what is the intent of achieving the topmost? Then you get a good job, then you got a lot of money, and then what do you do with the money? Enjoy yourself. Now, we've never been taught in school saying that, now in the second chapter, we'll be understanding what is actually real occupation. So nobody taught us saying that, how you should earn money, how should that money be used, what should you do with the money, nothing. If these things are taught to children, then they will possibly live a more meaningful life. So it's a slaughterhouse because it's, we are sending children to just become demons. So killing all the human values, right? The real reason why human beings are supposed to exist in actually not continue to exist. Get out of this material world. So it's a slaughterhouse because they're being killed. Atmahana, Upanishad says, killer of the soul. It's a slaughterhouse. Education system is the brain of society. And the reason why people are the way. And then it's people do like that, and then it's a self, enforcing kind of system. So people come from education system, sense gratification, they earn money, more money comes, More money means more sense gratification. And then they send their children for higher education, more sense gratification. So it just goes on and on and on, and it's just stuck. So Prabhupada gives some extreme insights. So all this is why all the qualities are deteriorating. It is mainly the education system world over, and specifically in India, thanks to the British. Killed everything. Killed everything. Like my grandfather, my mother's father. Those days, he used to wear a dhoti below, and he used to wear even a kurta inside, but on top he used to wear a coat. Once I remember I asked him saying that, why you are wearing coat on top of the prestige? So this is what they taught us. They taught us saying that everything about your culture is useless, worthless. Everything about our culture is great. So we sit on dining table, we eat with spoon and fork, we eat cutlery, we eat with porcelain dishes. So everything from dressing, way of life, culture, everything got changed. Education, Gurukula system was destroyed, and everything Western became worshipable. And we were also, and even today we are continuing that. We should not blame our previous generation. Today we are blindly embracing anything and everything that is coming from us. Nobody is thinking. And we are slowly and steadily losing the crux of our culture, which is all based on good qualities of a human being, and Western culture is all based on sense gratification. There is no value for good quality. Who's a big person is one who has a lot of money, who has a lot of enjoyment in his life. But actually, big person in India previously was person in Sattvaguna, Brahmana. Now it's literally a Shudra, or anybody who has money and who can splurge and show off their person. So everything is deteriorating. Reason is our education system, and specifically, that's colonized. 23. Bruhi Yogeshware Krishne Brahmanye Dharma Varmani Swam Kashtamadunopete Dharmakkam Sharanam Gataha. Since Sri Krishna, the absolute truth, the master of all mystic powers, has departed of his own abode, for his own abode, please tell us to whom the religious principles have now gone for shelter. Because Krishna comes for Dharma Samsthapanarthaya. Bhagavad Gita says so. Thus, rishis are asking the sixth question, saying, now where have the religious principles, Dharma, gone for shelter? Because Krishna is gone. He came, established, now they should have some shelter. Where have they gone for getting shelter? And here he said that master of all mystic powers, Yogeshwara. Why? And don't get stuck with chotu-motu yogis who are showing some mystic powers. Come to Krishna. He is the master of all mystic powers. But he has departed for his own abode. And departed for his own abode, he is not visible anymore to the people in general. So now that he is not visible, his Leela is over. Whom the religious principles have gone. So this is with this ends the first chapter, first canto, first chapter of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, entitled Questions by the Sages. Okay, anybody has any questions so far? Okay. Chapter 2, Divinity and Divine Service. A beautiful chapter. Vyasavacha iti samsprishna samhrishto vipranam raumaharshanihi pratipujya vachastesham pravaktum upachakrame. Ugrashrava, Sutta Goswami, the son of Romaharshana, being fully satisfied by the perfect questions of the Brahmanas, thanked them and thus attempted to reply. So they asked 6 questions. Now, Sutta Goswami is going to answer one by one. So he thanked them. Why he thanked them? He says in the future verses. Sutta Uvacha Yam pravrajjantam anupetam apeta krityam dvaipayano viraha katara ajuhava putreti tanmayataya tarabobhinedus tam sarva bhuta hridayam munimanatosmi. Srila Sutta Goswami said, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the great sage Sukadeva Goswami, who can enter the hearts of all. So first he is offering obeisances to his guru, from whom he heard Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. So he is offering respectful obeisances and he is saying, who can enter the hearts of all. This is very profound. Pure devotees, they have they are empowered to enter the hearts of people, meaning that they can create change, they can bring about change in the hearts of people. So he is saying Shukadeva Goswami is such a powerful sadhu that he can enter the hearts of all. And by just reciting Bhagavatam, he was chosen amongst great sages like Narada. Vyasa himself was there. But Shukadeva Goswami was chosen to come and sit on the Vyasasana because he was so empowered. When he went away to take up the renounced order of life, sannyasa, leaving home without undergoing reformation by the sacred thread of the ceremonies observed by the higher caste, his father Vyasadeva, fearing separation from him, cried out, "Oh my son!" Indeed, only the trees which were absorbed in the same feelings of separation echoed in response to father. And so here he says, when he went away to take up renounced sannyas, leaving home without undergoing samskaras, reformation, undergoing reformation. So these samskaras. So actually it is said that, it is only by samskara that one becomes a dvija. So Shukadeva Goswami did not undergo any purificatory samskaras because he was a liberated soul. He was a liberated soul from his very birth. He actually did not want to come out of his mother's womb only. He comes out at the age of 16 and then just leaves home because he didn't want family, affection of parents, nothing he wanted. He was liberated, completely liberated. So he just comes and he leaves home. Now just imagine, parents will be so disappointed. Son is born and then he just leaves home. So that is why Vyasadeva is calling out, "Oh my son." Vyasadeva is disappointed that Shukadeva Goswami is going away. He's calling, "Oh my son, you're going away." And then he says, "Oh, the trees." It says the trees actually were so absorbed in the same feelings of separation, they echoed in response. This can be understood in two ways. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that one is, we know from Bhagavad Gita also, somebody who's a pure devotee who's propagating the message of Godhead, he becomes dear to everybody. So that way, Shukadeva Goswami was dear to all jivas. So even the trees are feeling separation. Father Vyasadeva is feeling separation from Shukadeva Goswami, and the trees are also feeling, "Oh, my son, don't leave us and go." They're also feeling that affection for the son. The other reason, the other interpretation, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, he's saying that because he could enter into the hearts of all living entities, he entered into the hearts of the trees, and he said, when Vyasadeva said, "Oh my son," then the trees are also saying, "Oh my son," in response, meaning that who is whose son? You're my son, I'm your son. As in, don't get stuck in this illusion of I'm your father, I'm your son. I have work to do, I'm going. So like this acharyas reveal, otherwise just by reading the words, we might not be able to understand what is this trees, why are they trees, why are trees echoing? And Prabhupada says in the purport saying that a man is born as an ordinary human being and only by samskaras he becomes a dvija. Second twice born, so he approaches spiritual master, he gets Brahmin initiation. Brahmin initiation to nowadays has become like a tag. I'm Brahmin initiated. No, but we should live like Brahmanas. Patan, Nijan, Yajan, Dana, Pratika, then Shamadam. All those qualities we have to develop. Only then we should take Brahmin initiation. Right? At least we are on the path of developing those qualities. And only after one becomes a Vija, then he can study Vedas. And then when he studies the Vedas and becomes well versed in Vedas, he's called a Vipra, or a qualified Brahmana. When that qualified Brahmana realizes the absolute, and makes further progress in spiritual life, Prabhupada says he comes to the Vaishnava stage. So Vaishnava stage is the postgraduate status of a Brahmana. Progressive Brahmana must necessarily become a Vaishnava. For a Vaishnava is a self-realized, learned Brahmana. So one cannot be called a Vaishnava if he is not a Brahmana. He should already be a Brahmana. Meaning, in Achar, Vichar, everything, a Vaishnava should be like a Brahmana. That is why, initially when Prabhupada was there, because he was just setting up this whole ISKCON movement, he didn't give too much of emphasis on rules and regulations. But then, because he had so little time and so much to do. Now, after he, left this world, then people have continued to be in that same culture of, introduce very bare bones Vedic culture, Prabhupada, as part of Vaishnava culture. But today, devotees, we have to realize that actually we have to raise the bar. Other Vaishnava Sampradayas are so pakka with respect to all their practices. And we, in the name of Raganuga Bhakti, we just give up all Vidhi, all rules and regulations. No, we should not. We should raise the bar. We should really become Brahmanas. When people look at us and the way we behave, the way we go about our activities, people should feel impressed, saying that, okay, they're really quality people. Not like, we are still in the, Kapila Muni says that, bhakti, somebody in the mode of goodness performs bhakti in goodness, in the mode of passion performs bhakti in passion, mode of ignorance performs bhakti in ignorance, but we should not remain in these lower stages. Like I see sometimes people are shouting, like devotees shouting at each other inside the temple hall, outside the temple hall, like just like, any other person outside, just that, okay, they are doing bhakti, which is great. But slowly and steadily we should make progress. And Traigunya Vishavedan is Traigunya Bhagavatam. Even the proof or that we are actually doing bhakti is that we are transcending the modes. We are moving from Tamoguna to Rajoguna, and Rajoguna to Sattva-guna. Now, how do we make this progress? This progress actually depends on our mindset, the kind of environment we put ourselves into, kind of jobs we are doing. All of these actually have a huge impact on our swabhav. If we are engaged in a Rajoguna job, which doesn't give us 1 minute time for anything, how can we expect ourselves to get promoted to Sattva-guna? So, which is why eventually people have to come to Vanaprastha. They have to Grihastha ashrama, quickly finish off duties and then move on, because only then can we actually make significant progress. Because if we are in Grihastha and we are in Rajoguna most of the times and Tamoguna, because when we get little time, we want to just take rest, sleep, or relaxing activity. So we'll be stuck in Tamoguna and can't really make tangible progress. There's a struggle, big struggle. And especially people who are in software, bigger struggle. We have to really work like us. So this is not going to help us make progress, right? So we have to make progress. We have to come to Brahminical status, not just namesake Brahmana, but actually living like a Brahmana. And then only we can come to, we have to come to Brahmana, Brahmabhuta, then Vaishnava. We have to take the path seriously, and then path is so powerful. Krishna Bhakti is so powerful that we can very easily make progress, transcend these. But for that, we have to engage seriously. We have to engage in Bhakti seriously. Sometimes, it is said, okay, Bhakti itself is so powerful that it can burn out all anarthas. Absolutely. Provided we give it an opportunity, right? And we should do Tivra Bhakti, do with intensity, then it will wash out everything, it will burn everything. But if you are doing 2 hours Bhakti in a day, and that too, poor quality chanting, poor quality hearing, and then we are engaging 22 hours in Rajoguna and Tamoguna, how do we expect to make progress? And then devotees misquote this. Tane stita stuti vigatam tanuan manu. Whatever situation you're in. Yes. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't say change your varna. But we should also understand that we cannot just remain stuck in Rajoguna and Tamoguna. So we have to figure out ways to make progress. We have to come to Brahminical stage. We can. Yasvanubhavam akila shruti saramekam adhyatma deepam atititirsatam tamondham samsarinam karunayaha purana guhyam tam vyasa sunam upayam gurum munina. Let me offer my respectful obeisance unto him, Shuka, the spiritual master of all sages, the son of Vyasadeva, spiritual master of all sages, because everybody is hearing now in that gathering. Big rishis are there. They're all hearing from Shukadeva. So he became spiritual master of all sages, who out of his great compassion for those gross materialists who struggle to cross over the darkest regions of material, he came to show great compassion because he was self-realized, and then he also became a great devotee. But because of compassion, great compassion, for whom? For gross materials. He spoke this most confidential supplement to the cream of Vedic knowledge. And this cream of Vedic knowledge, which is Vedanta Sutra, this is confidential supplement. But in the purport says natural commentary. He gave it after having personally assimilated it by experience, anubhava, personal assimilation, vijnana. So actually, this is realized knowledge from Srila Shukadeva Goswami. It is not theoretical knowledge. So there are two things, right? There's gnana and there's vijnana. Gnana is knowledge, vijnana is applied knowledge, which means that we have experienced that particular, aspect in our life. And that means that it is a very elevated stage of Krishna consciousness. Here, when we see the life of Narada Muni, he actually realized Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana. He realized Bhagavad Tattva Vijnana, position of the Supreme. It is not theoretical, but actually able to understand the anubhava is the right word, experience actual of the Supreme. So he assimilated this confidential supplement, meaning Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, he actually personally realized, then he is giving it to others. Now, this realization, Prabhupada elsewhere, he says, what does realization mean? Realization means explaining a concept in a way that can be understandable by hearers. So the ability for a person to explain a topic in a way that can be understood by others depends on whether that person has actually experienced it or not. If he has not experienced, then how can he make others understand? So it is a matter of realization. So we have to realize all these things that we are hearing in the Shastra. Will we realize all these things? For example, Krishna says, Sarvadharman paritijya mamekam sharanam vrajaham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshesha. So I am going to take care of all your sinful reactions. Don't worry. How will we realize this? Only if you do Sarvadharman paritijya. If you give up everything and surrender to Krishna, only then we can experience this. If you have not given up, then that line will just be theory for us. Hope this is clear, right? So there are conditions and there are certain types of actions expected. And when we do a certain type of actions, then we will get Krishna reciprocates in particular way. Then we can actually realize what he said in the Shastra. So like this, so Shukadeva Goswami had realized Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. It means he's seen real position of Lord, he's seen the real position of Jiva, is like everything in his experience. So then he is speaking this most complimentary supplement. So here Prabhupada says that Bhagavatam is natural commentary. Natural commentary means what? The same author, Vyasadeva, he had written Vedanta Sutra. He only wrote a commentary on that. I write a book, then I write a book on that book. Because why? Actually, further he says in the purport, because he could foresee that people are going to misuse Vedanta Sutra by unscrupulous men. Mayamadis. Just misinterpreted Vedanta Sutra. So because he knew that people are going to misinterpret this Vedanta Sutra, he personally gave a natural supplement. Meaning, this is the purport of Vedanta Sutra, Bhagavata Purana. You can't touch Bhagavata Purana. And Prabhupada says that, even Shankaracharya did not touch. He did not write commentary on Bhagavata Purana. So that was the intention why Srila Vyasadeva actually gave Bhagavata Purana in the first place, because Vedanta Sutra would be misused by people in future, which yes. A very nice few lines here. I am reading from the purport. Everyone tries to make a permanent plan for happiness, for everyone is baffled by the laws of material nature. This is what the whole world is. The whole world is running behind happiness, and they're trying to make a plan, and they want it to be a permanent plan. But there is nothing like permanent in this material world, because laws of nature work that way. Therefore, the materialist world is called the darkest region of God's creation. Darkest because it's crazy to, first of all, look for happiness in place of unhappiness, dukkhalayam. In a place of unhappiness, we're looking for happiness. The first craziness. Second thing is, in a place which is temporary, we are trying to make permanent plan. So it's darkest, complete agnana, ignorance. Yet, the unhappy materialist can get out of it simply by desiring to get out. Prabhupada is saying, see, this is the darkest region. So if you want to simply get out of it, you can get out. But these materialists are so foolish that they do not want to escape. So why are people stuck in this material? Because they want to remain stuck. They don't want to give up. Why? Because they just look at this whole world of illusion around us and say, oh, this is so nice. But what is so nice? Really, if you sit back and think, what is so nice about this material world? There is just one sorrow about after another, one challenge after another, just trying to maintain our own position in this material world is such a big challenge. So where is their happiness here? Yesterday I was going in a metro train. So I saw, people after work coming and sitting in the train, and they're putting their earphones. And I see so many faces so tired, so distressed. And I could see in the face, oh my God, this is, people just sleep off in the train. I was seeing, oh, so much of distressed people. For what? For just this happiness. That if I earn some money, I'm going to be happy. But nobody is able to get happiness irrespective of. Some people earn lots of money with very less effort. Some people have to put in a lot of effort for very little money. Either way, they're not happy. But Prabhupada is saying they have to simply desire to get out of this, seeing that there's no happiness here, but they don't. They don't want to escape. They want to be here. So they are compared to the camel. Why camel? Because camel relishes its own twigs mixed with its own blood. It cuts its tongue, blood gets mixed, and it eats the twigs, and it is happy. So human beings, they are just, it's their own blood, sweat. There's, so much of tons of blood being spent for accumulating money. And they're happy just playing like this. Camels and asses. He does not realize that it is his own blood that his tongue is being cut. Similarly to the materialist, his own blood is as sweet as honey. And although he's always harassed by his own material creations. See, this is an amazing statement. Just see, we are always harassed by our own creations. We created this motor vehicle. Now there is no place to go on the roads of Bangalore. Traffic jam everywhere. So we're harassed by our own creation. Still, he does not wish to escape. Still, he doesn't think, oh my God, why do I have to stay in a city? Such materialists are called karmis. We know that devotees, we should not behave like karmis. That means that we should not have this outlook towards life. And it says, Manushyanam Sahasreshu, out of hundreds, thousands of karmis, only a few feel tired of material engagement. People are tired today, but they don't want to give it up. So only a few feel tired, and they desire to get out of this level. Only few. Such intelligent persons are called gnani. So karmis are the most dullest, right? Then comes gnanis. So So in context with this verse, because the grass material is struggling. So Bhagavatam is for whom? For each and every person struggling like this in this material. So as devotees, first we have to receive this knowledge and then we have to give this knowledge to others. It is life-saving. It will save the killing of the soul that people are engaged in. Engage in material sense gratification, struggle day in and day out. Money, work, family, responsibilities. That's not all in all. None of that will give us satisfaction. None of that will give us. Varnashrama dharma itself was to do our duties, but with keeping Krishna in the center. Varnashrama. Keeping Krishna or Vishnu in the center. That is how life has to be led. In this chapter, actually, there's beautiful description about how material life has to be seen. Amazing verses. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudivayet. Before reciting this Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, conquering what? This difficult ocean of Kali. A very means of conquest. One should offer respectful obeisances unto personality of Godhead, Narayana, and to Naranarayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, who is the Prabhupada. In purport, he alludes to one point. He says that we forget Krishna because we are overly attracted to materials. Some of these statements by Srila Prabhupada, sometimes it might look like out of context of the verse, but it is in continuation. So he's saying conquest. Now we have to conquer this, whole material, this Kali Yuga, or this material universe. We have to conquer, get over it, move on. But why? Why we are stuck here? Because we have forgotten Krishna. Why we have forgotten Krishna? Because we are attracted to sense gratification. We are attached to sense gratification because we are attached to sense gratification, overly attracted. Because we are overly attracted to sense gratification, we are actually stuck here because we forget. We have to work on this conquest, and so for which first we will offer obeisances, spiritual obeisances. Munaya sadhu prushtoham bhavat birloka mangalam yat kritah Krishna samprishno yenatma suprasidati. Now, here, O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Justly. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. Atma suprasidati. Completely satisfied. Prasidati means completely satisfied. So, Prabhupada in the purport writes, beautiful purport this is. Questions that pertain to Krishna are the sum and substance of all Vedic inquiries. Vedescha sam hameva vedyaha. Everything, what is the purpose of Vedas is to know Krishna. And so we have to ask questions that pertain to Krishna. That is the sum and substance of all Vedic inquiries. And he says, the whole world is full of questions and answers. Very nice, very birds, beasts, and men are all busy in the matter of perpetual questions and answers. In the morning, very descriptively, Prabhupada. In the morning, the birds in the nest become busy with questions and answers. In the evening, also, the same birds come back and again become busy with question and answers. What question? Same thing. Ahara nidra bhaya maitunam cha. Human being, unless he's fast asleep at night, he is busy with question and answers. Elsewhere, Prabhupada says, human beings are working so hectic, so much work, that even in sleep, they keep getting woken up in sleep because of those questions and answers which are unresolved. Businessmen in the market, busy with question and answers. Lawyers in the court, students in schools, colleges, legislators in parliament, politicians, everybody is busy with question and answers. Although they go on making such questions and answers for their whole lives, they are not at all satisfied. Satisfaction of the soul can only be obtained by questions and answers on the subject of Krishna. The mundane questions and answers are not going to satisfy us. We are all stuck with mundane questions and answers. Even we are trying to fight, Janma Mrityu, nahi. At least Jara Vyadhi we are trying to fight. But that is also mundane questions and answers. There is nothing in connection with Krishna. So Prabhupada is saying Krishna is our intimate master, friend, father, son, object of conjugal love. Forgetting Krishna, we have created so many objects of question and answers, but none of them are able to give us. All things but Krishna give temporary satisfaction only. So if we are to have complete satisfaction, we must take to the questions and answers about Krishna. Means that we have to come to Bhagavad Gita, we have to come to Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, without which we cannot get complete satisfaction. Not get complete satisfaction. No amount of material planning is going to give us material satisfaction. And that's what we normally do. Chanting means what? Planning. We can change the chanting process as planning process. And because that's the time when we do maximum planning. 5-year plans and all we do during chanting. And we are not satisfied. Tomorrow also we do the same thing. This keeps on continuing. So this is the means of conquest. So this is the only thing which is going to satisfy us. And Bhagavatam, that's why I was saying, the more we immerse ourselves into Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, study of Śrīmad, the more we find satisfaction, the more we find happiness. Okay, so I'll stop here. I'll continue from verse about 8 a.m. Those who can attend. And today is already many people. Whoever can join. I will continue my service tomorrow. Here, Canto Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Anybody has any questions? Anything to say?